This is Dabu 7. Joe Biden has now signed an executive order and has declared that Russia is a national security threat to the United States. They have also rolled out a series of sanctions. Now, they're trying to say that Russia's doing this, Russia's doing that. We've heard this for years coming from this side. Now, they're calling back individuals from their posts, and it's all tied into this multi-layered executive order that is going against Russia. Now, if you missed it, Russia is sending troops and big-time equipment into the border area around Ukraine. They swooped down into Crimea, and there's not a whole lot of talk about what's being done on the other side. What we do know is this. The White House and the Treasury put these actions against Russia into motion. They're saying that the U.S. is expelling 10 of its diplomatic personnel from the Russian embassy in Washington, which is also said to include intelligence officials. The U.S. will ban American banks from being able to buy new Russian sovereign debt starting on June 14th. So on June 14th, this thing goes into motion, and I expect we will see things escalate from here. It seems that this is what this administration likes, and this is the direction that they're heading. We also heard yesterday about all this troop thing, being pulled out of Afghanistan. I'm not buying none of that. We've heard that so many times before, even under the Trump administration, and it was a shuffling of troops. Seems you need some troops real quick close by in the Ukraine area. We're going to have to keep an eye on where these troops go that are set being pulled from Afghanistan. So this is some of the latest so people know. Make sure to join me on the live streams, going live Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 9 p.m. Eastern, only on DLive. And we've got big things coming, like a brand new big website coming. If you don't know about it, you're missing out. You'll find it during the live streams. Much love.
Hey, Shalom. First thing and foremost, I'd like to give all praises and glory and honor that's due to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakakwadash. Double honors unto the apostles and elders of the great millstone. Blessings and salutations to the hopeful elect. Noise of the gospel brought lifting up the standard of Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai. It's Akim Mahalaya coming back with another lesson through the Spirit, titled The End of the Pale-Faced Male, okay, which we know the pale-faced male to be Esau Edom, aka the so-called white man, best is known as the red man, because if you look at these men undergarment or their shirts on side of their ties, you can see that they do not blend in with the white of that shirt. And if you take a look towards the right, you got this guy Putin, and it appears that he has on an off red or almost a burgundy colored tie, which burgundy is a derivative of red. If you match his skin, it's closer to the tie than it is to his shirt. Why? Because the scripture tells you that the so-called white man is of the nation of Edom, which Edom means red, okay, or Adawam, which means red. All right, you got Esau, which goes into the Hebrew word Ishashia, which means wasted away is heat. And those are omens because the so-called white man will be wasted away figuratively and physically, okay, because they have no pigment. All right, they have to carry the most diseases, they carry the most bacterial infections, they brought diseases to the North Americas, etc. These are the demons of you have different demons of these different nations, but these are the top devils that the spiritual demon Satan is dealing with directly. Really the elites. All right. So with that being said, World War III is being hinted at. And like we went into, it was a lesson I did last week in the book of Jeremiah, the 51st chapter. It goes into rumors until the land be desolate. So we're speaking rumors, but these rumors are in fact going to be true. It's the same way if you heard, is Danisha, she a hoe? I heard she was a hoe. I heard she was a thought. Those are rumors, but find out a videotape leaked on Danisha that in fact she was a thought. Okay, so that rumor eventually came to pass and it was found out to be true. And it's the same thing with the prophecies, mainly of World War III. Because these things are documented, they're hinted at, they're displayed in movies, they're shown in different sitcoms, etc. And they're written down ultimately, which that's a rumor that's revealed. And in time, it's going to play itself out. When, we don't know. But I can tell you without a reasonable doubt, this war will take place in the immediate future. Because if you look at the way banks and stocks and bonds and the economy is on a flim flam, these nations have no other choice but to go to war because of the reset of the dollar. Now, we're going back here on Zero Hedge, but this is actually a good site to get information from, okay? You got to take the meat and spit it out with the bones. But it says Biden targets Russian sovereign debt. All right? It says expels 10 diplomats in sweeping sanction actions, meaning that they're not buying the debt of Babylon, okay? They're not going to put on a bond because they're not going to buy the debt, because once the debt is counseled or when it's not bought out by these foreign entities, that debt ultimately comes back here to the West. And what happens, you have inflation or hyperinflation. Like right now, gas has been since this low-life pedophile Biden made it to office, things have intensified within the 3 months this clown has been in office. Wickedness has exceedingly grew on the planet Earth. I mean, the Momo agenda is exceptionally, it's expounded on, it's put out there. You see what I'm saying? So through the spirit, man, the Lord is turning this thing up, and this may be the man. I mean, the man of sin is already revealed, the Edomite, but he may be that particular guy, man. Okay, and we say that about pretty much most of these men, but hey, he's doing shit in spirit quick. He's getting things balling. Operation Warp Speed, he's continuing with that. What do you call it? The first 100 days in office, 100 million. Now he's working on 2 million jabbed up. This man is getting things done, and all of a sudden now he's coming to blows with Russia, which that's part of the prophecy. Okay, this Edomite on Edomite tyranny. So that's why we're going to call it the end of the pale-faced male. All right. So it says Russia was quick to threaten that swift retaliation is coming. And what you're going to realize here in America is that the fact that they're not the big bad bullies on the block no more. They can't just go and fucking with people and running them off the block. Somebody's bound to come back and spray back at you. Motherfuckers gonna come back clapping at you, man, because people they're not going for it no more. They like, look, man, we have nuclear weapons. We have the BRICS nations. We have the OPEC nations. We have our different conglomerates that's set up. Why do we need you? You know, they like, we don't need you. What you gonna do for us besides put us further in debt, bring more democratized laws that's not benefiting anybody? You know, you got these momos running up and down the streets. You know, nobody wants to deal with that, you know, only over here in the West. But nonetheless, it tell you here, it says retaliation is coming. And it says with the tit for tat ramping up, once again, our tensions are over. Ukraine are on the knife's edge. It says Russian foreign minister, a ministry spokeswoman, and that's another thing, a spokeswoman, Maria Zakharova, counted that such aggressive behavior would undoubtedly trigger the resolute retaliation. And remember what Yahweh Shah said. He said that if Satan's divided against Satan, how can his kingdom stand? These Edomites, man, the pale-faced male, they're divided, man. They're divided more than they ever been. All right, you got the Russians against the Americans. You got the Turks that's going to come against Babylon. And technically, Turkey is still a prominent member of the NATO, which stands for the National Atlantic Treaty Organization. But what happens, according to Revelation, the 17th chapter, they're going to succeed and they're going to do away with this great horde. They're going to be part of the nations that's going to shoot the nuclear missiles on this society. And this shit is overdue, man. I wish the missiles were shot off today, you know, because that way we can get our glory, we can get to the heaven, we can go to the kingdom of the heaven, which is going to be on earth. All right, Yahweh Shah can come back, but we understand through much tribulation must we enter the kingdom. So we ain't even begin to scratch the surface on what the hell is finna happen. And that's another thing too. It's a lesson for a different time, man. We all getting ready to be tried. All right, us men, you women, children. And right now is not the time for you women to be acting out of character, especially if you have men in the Lord as husbands. Now is the time to really consider your actions and to get yourself in some type of order. I ain't gonna say some type of order. You better get the fucking order. Because once that purge horn sounds, what's the Most High bringing the real purge to the society? It's going to be too late for you. Don't come sucking up, oh, I should have listened to you, right? No. Nope. You ain't going to be accepted that day. You're going to be put down on the spot. And those of you, I take my chance on my own. We're going to see how well your own chance is going to get your ass. But you're going to be rolling craps, man. Anyway, that's a lesson for another time. Because you Jakes, you don't seem to take this serious. You seem to think because the Lord ain't jacked your ass up yet, you seem to take our word as a joke. Oh, the Lord, you've been saying the Lord gonna do something for 20 years. He ain't did nothing yet. Okay. Anyway, it says Washington should realize that it will have to pay a price for the degradation of its bilateral ties. So Rover said, asserting that the responsibility that will fully lie with the United States. It says, meanwhile, that hope for face-to-face summit Biden proposed for he and killer Putin this week to be held in a third country in the coming months is definitely off. All right. So it says, breaking news. It says the Kremlin says no summit between Vladimir Putin and Joe Biden could be arranged in the near future. It says it comes as U.S. media reports the Americans are set to impose more sanctions on Russia. And I found out today that Russia was shooting like a test rocket or something. They said fire at the enemy. I believe it was like a U.S. warship. I seen it briefly on the brother's page. I can't find the page no more. Esau probably clipped it because that's the type of bitch shit he own. But through the spirit, man, you know, this is getting ready to go down. You know, you be like, y'all always say that. It is. Pay attention to the scriptures, to the prophecies, man. This shit is getting ready to come to head. Here we finna get fucking snow next week on Tuesday. And we had a snowstorm in over a month and a half. Like, I mean, you get snow in April, but it's kind of weird because them cocksuckers were spraying chemtrails in the air yesterday. And when I seen it, I was like, yeah, they getting ready to do something. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know if they getting ready to release a biological weapon, you know, bring up the numbers. Who knows what they getting ready to do? But it's some weird stuff going on out here. All right. But it says, as expected, the White House and Treasury's action against Russia today are sweeping and have some serious teeth, with the U.S. expelling 10 of its diplomatic personnel from the Russian embassy in Washington. It says, which is set to include intelligence officials. But further, the U.S. will ban American banks from buying new Russian sovereign debt starting June 14th. So that's going to cause the American dollar to plummet even further. Because at the end of the day, it's about getting this dollar out here, getting it out of a succession and bringing in what they call a digital-based currency, which eventually will be what they consider the mob or the MOB. All right, joining the mob. We don't say the corn chips anymore because the nigga feels some type of way. Oh, you said corn chips, I'm gonna flag you for medical misinformation. When you ain't say nothing about no fucking 19C, you know. We ain't say nothing about the bullshit that they spraying or whatever they claiming happened last year. We ain't said nothing about it. Here you go into the grain of rice and this nigga hit you for medical misinformation. What a bitch, man. You know, that's okay because you going down anyway. A bunch of goddamn devils, man. And my spirit is a little vexed because they flagged the brother's video again while I was on suspension. And I know your frustration, brother, because hey, they do it to me all the time. Here we are just bringing out the words of the Most High. But, you know, they feel some type of way. They try to flag brothers who they feel they can reach, you know. But it's all good because at the end of the day, the Most High going to give us a spiritual power. And all I'm going to say is what I'm going to say. And that's it. But anyway, it says here, Treasury issued the directive that prohibits the U.S. financial institutions from participating in the primary market for ruble or non-ruble denominated bonds issued after June 14th. And that's going to cause escalation here. All right, that's going to cause even more tensions because America, they're going to try to bully and buy back their way into the Russians' grace, but it's not going to happen. Okay, even if it just temporarily. The Most High has created a tension between Esau. It says, and by the Central Bank of the Russian Federation, the National Wealth Fund of the Russian Federation, or the Ministry of Finance of Russian Federation, and lending ruble or non-ruble denominated funds to the Central Bank of the Russian Federation, the National Wealth Fund of the Russian Federation, of the Ministry of Finance of the Russian Federation. All right, but it says, but the directive further notes that the authority of the U.S. government to expand sovereign debt sanctions on Russia as appropriate. The measures would be sparked by a sell-off in Russian assets and a ruble immediately dropping as much as 2.2% in early trading, coming to settle at 1.5% down to the trade at 76.89 hours later. But as we reviewed earlier, Treasury further designated 6 Russian technology companies related to the SolarWinds hack and sanctioned 32 entities and individuals for interface efforts in the 2020 presidential election. All right, so right there, that says a lot. I'm not going to read everything, but they basically putting sanctions on Russia, and that's a complete fall down on Esau's part because, like I said, this is not going to end well for the Russians, nor is it going to end well for the Americans, all right? But they're both Esau. All right, so this is what it's going to lead to. This is the book of Ezekiel 38. And I'm going to start at 1. It says, and Yahweh, the word of Yahweh came into me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against Gog in the land of Magog, which we know to be Japhetic nations. But Esau occupied those lands, so therefore this is assuming the identity of the Edomites today. It says, the chief priests of Meshech and Tubal, and prophecy against him, and say, thus says the Lord Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahweh Shai, behold, I am against thee, O Gog, and the chief priests of Meshech and Tubal. So the Most High is against you devils, man. All right, and he's been against you devils, but nonetheless, he's allowed you to work with him in order to put hell on our people. But our time has passed. Our affliction is over. Yet you steady got us, you steady got us by the rat's tail, so to speak. And it says, and I return thee back and put hooks into thy jaws, going back into that old USSR Soviet Union bear-like state. Because they were in hibernation for a long time, to the point they were taking payoffs for the America after the Cold War in the early 90s. They were taking a lot of payouts, and America pretty much had Russia doing their bidding. But somewhere in their mindset, America was knowing that Russia was going to rise up to come against it in a lot of times. So what they did was, before during the Cold War, I believe, they set up what they call the NATO nations. The United Nations and the NATO nations, which was set up to bow the Eastern Bloc. Okay, which is the Soviets or USSR, Russia, China, those nations, etc. That's why they set up NATO. But anyway, it says, in all thy army, it says, and I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws, and I will bring thee forth in all thy army, horses and horsemen, all of them clothed in all sorts of armor, even a great company with bucklers and shield, all of them handling swords. This is war. All right, this is the scriptures, this is prophesied, and we're reading it in the scriptures, man. But ask yourself, vocab alone, why don't you ever go into this information? If you just saw about Calvinism and your replacement theology, you beanhead Christians, you don't know a damn thing about prophecy, man. This is why you clowns focus so much on replacement theology, because you can't understand the prophecy. And you're wrong about replacement theology. You don't even understand the New Testament. You don't even understand nor Jew nor Greek. You don't understand that the Gentiles, for the most part in the New Testament, we're talking about the Israelites. All right. But it says here, all of them handling swords, weapons of war. Persia, okay, the Iranians, Ethiopian, the Hamites, and Libya with them, all of them with shield and helmet. So these are the prominent forces that's going to side up with Russia, that's going to come against the West. And eventually all these nations are going to come against East. Well, all of them going to come against the American devil. It says, Gomer and all his bands, and the house of Togomar and the north quarters and all his bands, and many people with thee. Okay, you got Togomar, you got Turkey, the northern quarter, right? You got Istanbul, which is a prominent city in Turkey. You got China, and then somehow Taiwan and China may end up linking back up because they're both still considered China. You see what I'm saying? They're going to come together and they're going to destroy America, man. And this place needs to be destroyed because look at the wickedness that's being promoted here. It says, be thou prepared and prepare for thyself, because this battle is going to be predominantly between America and Russia. Started, which is going to lead to world war. But somewhere and somehow that so-called Jew is going to bring out the midst of this, because really they're the ones that's pulling the strings behind the scenes. Sanctions and so forth. Amalek is behind all this shit, because Amalek runs America. It runs the whole world pretty much. They even got influence in Russia, because at the end of the day, they all have one common agreement, was to set up the New World Order. But that ain't going to happen. Not all the way to this extent. But it says here, the north quarters and all his bands and many people with thee, and be thou prepared and prepare for thyself, thou and all thy company that are assembled unto thee, and be thou a guard unto them. Okay, a guard. So once China start popping shit, Iran popping shit, you go down in Iran, you're going to be met with the fierceness of this bear. Because it tells you in Revelation that the bear should be the feet, I'll roughly paraphrase it, but the bear, which represents pretty much Russia being a primary force taking out America. And if you look at the weapons that Russia has, man, they have what they call, I don't think they have the supersonic missile, but they have Satan II. They have one supersonic missile that's able to navigate to this side of the world within 20 minutes. That's faster than any damn plane, man, so to speak. So, hey, this World War III is getting ready to crack off, man, and it's going to be very, very deadly, man. All right, because, matter of fact, this is the termination of Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahweh Shai. So let's read it here. This is Revelation 9, and I'm going to start at verses 12. It says, one war was past, and behold, there come two more wars hereafter, because you got to understand World War II and World War III. those woes, really, they say World War III started during the time of the Cold War, which I can believe that, which the Cold War surely started after World War II. All right, it just haven't went global and nuclear. But we've been in this time of the third world for a long time. But it's going to really get nuclear once these nations start to shoot off their rockets, so to speak. And it says here, and the sixth angel sounded, and I heard a voice from the four horns of the golden altar, which is before the Most High, saying to the sixth angel, which had the trumpet, loose the four angels which are bound by the great river Euphrates. And the four angels is going into the four archangels. You got Michael, Uriel, Raphael, and then you got Gabriel. And it says here, and the four angels were loose and were prepared for an hour and a day and a month and a year for to slay the third part of men. Third part of men are the Edomites. Three classifications of people: son of the sons of the wicked, which is Esau; the sons of God, which is the Israelites; and the sons of men, which are the other nations. So the Bible breaks us up into three categories, with the sons of God, or the Israelites, being the chosen sons. All right. It says here, for a month and a year, for to slay the third part of men. And I pray that month is April 17th in the year 2021, But that could be any year. But Lord's will, this shit be over with soon. It says, for to slay the third part of men, and the number of the army of the horsemen were 200,000, and those are the nuclear missiles, and I heard a number of them. Those are the missiles, which the Most High Spirit is going to be in those missiles, guiding it to certain proponents of this place. It ain't going to be 200 million nuclear warheads, because that many doesn't exist in the world. But they just say if you got 10,000 warheads and you have 10 on each warhead, you can easily shoot 1 million rockets over here. It's easy, you know what I'm saying? Because they have multiple warheads. Got the nuke, and then you got the baby warheads that cause just as much damage. In some cases, almost more, with the many that's going to be shot at once. It's going to be like raining down from heaven, man. You ain't going to be able to skip. You ain't going to be able to dodge the missiles. They're going to be raining down from the earth, from the heavens, Then on top of that, what the missiles don't hit, the chariot's going to get. Okay? And it says, and I saw the horses in the vision, and them that sat on them, having breastplates of fire and jasness and brimstone, and the heads of the horses were the heads of lions. Lions are very fierce, okay? A horse represents power. And the horses are as the heads of lions, and out of their mouth issue fire, smoke, and brimstone. They call it the head. And what is in the mouth part of the head? The warhead. Notice when a warhead, it dissembles, then the body, it encapsulates, and then the rocket, bam, it hits head down. That's the head. All right? It says it should have fire, smoke, and brimstone. And by these three was the third part of men killed. That's you Edomites, all right? Mainly here in America. Right here in America, because for one thing, you're going to have Edomites in different parts of the world that's going to be gathered up and put in captivity. So when it said the third part of Esau, every Edomite in America outside of the elites and these high officials are going to be destroyed in this third world war. All right, and that's what it's saying. It says the third part of men killed by the fire and by the smoke and by the brimstone which issued out of their mouths. For the power is in their mouth and in their tails. And their tails are like unto serpents, and had heads, and heads, warheads, remember, and with them they do hurt. Okay, because you got what they call a propeller component. Okay, you got the guidance system. And it says, and the rest of the men which were not killed by these plagues, yet repented not of their works of their hands, that they should not worship devils and idols, and gold and silver and brass and stone, and of wood, neither which can see nor hear. Neither they repented of their murders, nor of their sorceries, nor of their fornications, nor of their thefts. And that's talking about Jake, because Jake is the only ones that can repent. All right, you other nations just gonna get proud until we find you and put you head first in captivity. This is the book of Jeremiah, the 50th chapter, and I'm gonna start at verses. Let's start at verses 9. It says, "For lo, I will raise and cause to come up against Babylon an assembly of great nations from the north country, the Russians." It says, "And they should set themselves in array against her. From thence she should be taken, and their arrows should be shot as a mighty expert men, and none should return in vain," meaning all the missiles are going to hit. It says, "And Chaldea should be a spoil, and all that spoil her should be satisfied, says the Lord." So you devils are finished, man, all right? But anyway, with that, all praises and glory and honor. You know what? Nope. Go down to 13. It says, "Because the wrath of the Lord, it should not be inhibited, but it should be wholly desolate." Talking about this society, this country. "Everyone that goeth by Babylon should be astonished and hiss at our plagues. But put yourselves in array against Babylon round about, all ye that bend the bow, and shoot at her. Spare no arrows, for she hath sinned against the Lord. So, there you go, man. So she's done, man. America is finished. And with that, all praises and glory, honor that is due to Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai. Double honors to the elders, the apostles of the great millstone, and blessings and salutations to the hopeful elect. With that, Shalom and a bye. Y'all want more edification on World War III? I suggest you read Jeremiah 49th chapter, Jeremiah 50 and 51. That goes into World War III, man. All right, it's a pretty heavy chapter, man, to get familiar with the history of it. But anyway, with that, Shalom and a bye.